Paylocity presents Healthcare Reform Beyond the Hype. In this series, we'll be taking a look at the shared responsibility provisions in the Affordable Care Act, also known as Player Pay. Now, these provisions are scheduled to take effect with benefit plan years beginning on or after January 1st of 2014. Simply put, shared responsibility dictates that large employers must offer an affordable health plan providing minimum value to at least 95% of all full-time employees or face a penalty. Now, that penalty can take a couple different forms depending on the specific circumstance. In the event that no coverage is offered to at least 95% of all full-time employees, that penalty is $2,000 per year for each full-time employee after the first 30 full-time employees if any employee purchases coverage at an exchange and receives a subsidy. For example, if ABC Corporation does not offer health insurance coverage and they employ 160 people, 75 of whom are full-time. If at least one of those employees receives a tax credit for exchange coverage, they would owe $90,000, which we arrive at by taking the 75 full-time employees, excluding the 30 employees that are excluded under the provision, giving us 45 employees, multiplying it by the $2,000 per employee, totaling $90,000. Now, in the event that an employer chooses to offer coverage, but that coverage for whatever reason is determined to be either unaffordable or is not providing minimum value, in that case, the penalty is $250 per month for each full-time employee that receives a subsidy for exchange coverage. Now, one key thing to note that if the employer does offer an affordable plan of minimum value, but the employee still purchases exchange coverage, there is no penalty to the employer. And also note that the penalty owed in a scenario where coverage is offered can never be greater than the penalty owed if no coverage were offered whatsoever. As the law and shared responsibility provision itself is quite complex, there are a number of safe harbor provisions that have been released to assist employers in complying with the law. Simply put, a safe harbor provision eliminates an employer's liability under the law by demonstrating a good faith effort to comply with its provisions. In this series of videos, we'll be taking a look at the safe harbor provisions within the Affordable Care Act and how can they be used as compliance tools. In the next series of videos, we'll be taking a look at specific definitions within the shared responsibility portion of the Affordable Care Act. Specifically, what is a large employer, what constitutes affordable coverage providing minimum value, and how to properly determine your full-time employee classification and full-time employee counts for the Act itself.